Okay, welcome all. The first topic today is a design doc for a KMIP backend for SSES3. Currently only one of the Vault flavors can do SSES3, so it's great to see interest in other backends there, though I don't know that we can answer most of these design questions. I would really like Marcus's review of the cryptographic parts.
We could poke Marcus this afternoon at 3 and ask him to show up for the next meeting.
Yeah, or just ask him to go over the design doc and questions and
That's true.
follow up offline. In terms of the libkmip contribution strategy, I think we would want to see that go upstream, but we could definitely work on it in the Ceph fork and integrate that first.
Do you happen to have any insights or history on why there is a fork? I think the only change, the big change I've seen is that there's a CMake file, or is that something that I missed? And every library has also lives in the Ceph namespace on GitHub as well, that is submoduled in. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes we clone things under Ceph just in case we need to patch things, but I don't know if we have done anything with the Ceph fork. Regarding the testing plan, I see in the doc plan to test this against OVH and PyKMIP and add a toothology suite with PyKMIP. We do have a toothology task for KMIP and used to have test coverage of the KMIP functionality, but it was removed because it was unmaintained. So hopefully we can revive that and get tests running again.
So, sounds good. Was it removed because of PyKMIP by any chance, or was there another server implementation that you used?
In the agenda under that question, I added a link to a tracker issue.
Perfect.
It was a couple of SSE KMS test failures against KMIP. I don't know that anybody tried to root cause them. But after failing for almost a year, we chose to disable them as unmaintained.
I see.
Okay, so this would be also then part of the upstream process that we get this all working again and look into it. What is the problem?
Yep. So I'm happy to provide pointers to the Python script for setting up PyKMIP and stuff, and then the PR that disables the KMIP stuff is an example of the YAML that configured and set that stuff up.
Yeah, so I just looked at it. It was PyKMIP. Oh yeah.
Okay, then we need to analyze also mal the error that we even see if this is which kind of problem. Okay, thanks. This helps.
And I mean, just throw that in. You would be open to just include something else, right? There's also other implementations of KMIP now. There's a Go implementation that can all run on toothology, right? Might be a naive question, but I never added anything to Solidity Suite so far.
Yeah, essentially, as long as you can download the service and write a Python script that configures and sets it up and tells the test suite how to integrate with it. Yeah, it certainly could be something other than PyKMip.
Oh, great.
Okay, thanks. Just need to take another look. Okay. So PyKMip was chosen because it was the only one at the time that could be used for testing. Did I understand that correctly?
I think that would be a question for Marcus.
Okay.
Sorry, I was distracted by quitting of another meeting. What was the question?
If the why PyKMip was used for testing was because it was the only available open source KMip for testing. Is this correct?
It was the only one I could find at the time. There is one out today that's written in Go that I haven't had a chance to look at.
Yeah, actually, this was more or less the question I think before you joined. Exactly, like if there's also when this is a problem to make this run again, if maybe we should try also the Go version.
Yes, no, I think it would make a lot of sense to try testing it with the Go version instead, and probably switch over the continuous integration to use that if it works out.
Okay, thanks.
Have you had a chance to go over the design doc, or do you want me to summarize it? Because there's like, I mean, the idea is to build a KMip backend that is just like the Vault Transit backend for SSE S3. There's like this one difference on where the data encryption key is generated.
I'm not entirely sure what you're proposing there. There is support involved for KMip that I think is in their paid version.
Okay. I think I should start earlier with. So this is about this proposal I sent around adding a KMip backend for SSE S3 and RGW.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And the idea is basically, the general idea is to mirror the existing Vault Transit backend with as much as possible of the SSE KMS KMip backends that's already in RGW. So yeah, it would follow the same like key encryption key, data encryption key model, with the key encryption key never leaving the KMip server in this case. And the key difference from the Vault backend that's already in existence would be that the support for generating random keys on KMip is, from what I've found, not so widely available with most of the KMip servers that I looked at. So the idea would be to generate the data encryption key in RGW and then send it over, do the encryption or decryption on KMip, and then do it there. Where, for example, Vault Transit has this one in a single function. I can say like, give me a new data encryption key, and it will give you back like the wrapped and unwrapped version.
Yeah, no, what you're saying makes sense. It sounds like you should go forth and do.
Cool. Yeah, the other like question I have about the current implementation is there's this libkmap wrapper in RGW. I think it has like a work queue abstraction. And I'm like curious what the reasoning behind it is, so that whatever we add can be as idiomatic as possible. If there's any insight to share, it would be great. I think it does like 4 connections at a time, things like that. And the others, like the Barbican integration, doesn't have that. They just send out an HTTP request.
I think I was trying to set it up so that it would reuse and share one connection instead of starting up 20 connections all at once.
So okay, but it doesn't like overwhelm the KMIP server.
Yeah, no, that's the only reason that's there.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I think we already asked about why there is a fork of the libkmap in the Ceph namespace. And like, so to get this done, yeah, we would need to add encrypt and decrypt support. Those functions aren't yet in this like libkmap.
Oh, and libkmip stuff? Yes, that makes sense. You might look at their upstream and see if they have those functions implemented.
Oh,
But
they haven't yet.
Okay. Well, it should be straightforward to add it.
Yeah, do you have any insight on why there is a fork in the Ceph namespace? That's like out of curiosity, why it's there.
When I talked to the upstream KMIP people, they never responded.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so the original project more or less is dead in the water at the moment.
Yeah, it might be interesting to poke them and see if they, maybe actually make a pull request and see what they do. But they're certainly not very active, but there is some activity on the Python front. I don't know if they have any C developers at this point.
Okay, yeah.
Cool, thanks. I think from my side, this is like everything I wanted to clarify. I mean, any other feedback and comments on the proposal would be awesome.
Yeah, the only other comment I could make is if you get this transit style encoding working with SSE S3, it would make sense to move that or backport that up to the KMS support as well.
What do you mean, the KMS support?
There's KMS and there's S3. The KMS KMIP support is not as smart as the transit encoding with Vault. And it would make sense to make it that smart.
Oh, you mean it does encrypt and decrypt operations?
It's just running the key straight. It's not doing any kind of wrapping.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Does it have to? I mean, the KMS support basically needs the plane.
It would be nice to set it up so that the keys stay in the KMIP server.
Okay.
That's an attractive feature of Vault that's missing from the KMIP support that's out there today.
Yeah. I don't understand how that works for the KMS support. I think I only know the Barbican way, and there you basically get the unwrapped key from the KMS and then use that in RGW.
Yeah, that's what the KMIP support's doing today. And that's very different than what the Vault support's doing.
Oh, okay.
So when you're talking about wrapping keys and things like that, that sounds like a really good plan. That's the cool thing about Vault, and that's what's missing from the KMIP code that's there today.
It will probably be a bit more expensive, this SSE S3 support, because you have this per object key and you need to go through the KMIP every time.
Yeah, I have plans to address that, and so I'll probably have something that does that in due course. That's probably my next big project to work on.
Oh, what are your plans for that to address that?
Basically per bucket keys.
For bucket keys. Oh, I see. Oh, interesting. Okay, but it probably makes sense to just start with the per object keys and yeah, to add the other things later, I guess.
Yeah, no, if you do this transit style encoding with KMIP, that's work that we should be able to carry forward.
Cool. Well, that would be everything for me. Frank, do you have anything else to add, or anybody else?
No, just actually answered the questions that we had. So when we have more, then yeah, we come again.
Wonderful. Well, this is exciting. Thank you, Marcus, for the feedback there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
thank you.
Under the testing plan part, I did add a link to the PyKMIP task that sets up the KMIP server that tests run against. So that could be an example for the Go version if you want to try to set that up. If you need any pointers on how that stuff works, I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, yeah, I just took a look at it. Yeah, Ben, thank you for the. It's always good to have some pointers where to start.
Oh, I should mention I do have a working version of the PyKMIP server piece. So I don't think I have great notes on it, but it is possible to get it running. It's just annoying.
Okay, like what is the cause at the moment? That is this a different, like the not different version? Like
There were changes. There were changes in the way Python integrated with OpenSSL, and PyKMIP was using the old approach, and it was broken for a while in Python, and then I just removed the support in very recent versions.
Okay, so it's a Python version problem.
And one of the changes that was in the upstream thing is there were most of the changes to make it work with a modern Python, but there were a few more things you needed to do.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So do you have somewhere a patch or something, or that we?
Yeah, I have a patch somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And when you can maybe add, don't know if you have it somewhere on Gist or somewhere that you can add a link into the Etherpad.
I'll see if I can put it someplace. Sure.
Okay, thanks.
But this Go version sounds really cool. So if you get that working, that's probably the right path forward.
Okay, good. Then I think we will concentrate on the Go, but nevertheless, would be good to have also as a secondary test. Also, maybe try the PyKMIP with how it works.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So for my side, this actually, I have no question at the moment. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have thoughts on this topic before we move on? Okay, next couple of topics were mine. First one, I have a lifecycle PR that uses coroutines instead of threads for the buckets, and I'm having trouble getting it through QA with lifecycle expiration failures. I debugged one of the failures yesterday and left a bunch of details on the PR there. But essentially it looks like a bucket is getting skipped because of how the already run today function works. Dan, I see you. Maybe you can help with this. But essentially, lifecycle processing runs once per day or debug interval when testing. But the buckets remember when they last started processing and will only process if it's been more than a day since they were last processed. But because a bucket can get visited at different times on different days, it's likely that this incorrectly determines that it already ran today. And that's essentially what I was seeing in this failure. So it doesn't seem like it should compare just 24 hours since it last processed the bucket, but it should check whether the bucket was processed since the current lifecycle work time started. All right, Din's having mic problems.
The worst case scenario, it's going to work the next day, right? But it's not good enough for the topology tests, like QA testing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the test cases generally have a sleep for 2 life cycle intervals. Basically to guarantee that processing happens at least once in between.
When an
in this case-
RGW restarts, the worker thread still picks up. So if we change the condition within the current, if it doesn't pick up within the current life cycle time, how are we going to update the life cycle time? Because RGWs can restart at different times. So how are we going to set the last or the current life cycle job? Like, is there any? Because let's say last cycle started at midnight, worked for an hour, cleaned everything, and a couple of hours later I restarted an RGW. So in this case, should it pick up the buckets again, or we'll skip because it said, okay, I already ran a few hours ago?
As written currently, it will skip processing of buckets any buckets that have been processed in the last 24 hours.
I actually pasted another link, Casey. So we had faced a similar issue in our world, and then actually I had brought this up like 2 or 3 meetings ago. My bad, I didn't put up a PR, but back then I had discussed with Matt Benjamin in our one of our calls. Actually, I pasted that line on our Etherpad. If you open that line, that's where one of the other reasons where we saw the bucket was skipped. Apparently, there's a check is expired, which is multiplied by 2 into interval. So probably what's happening is right now, suppose one of the bucket enters, we set the entry to be processing. And then what happens is once that bucket is processed, we go and set the entries to be LC complete. Problem is we try to get the lock and try to update that entry. We try only for 1 second of interval to get that lock. And if that lock is already held by some other worker at that point in time, we do not go and update that bucket has been processed, finished processing, I mean. So what happened is the next time when it comes, the LC worker kicks in and tries to process that bucket, it sees that the bucket state is already in processing. So what it does is it goes and checks whether it's expired. And if you look at that it's expired function, it tries to check 2 into interval, which basically means today it takes 2 into 24 hours. So it does not process for 2 days. So this was one of the issues that we also had seen. And then back then when we discussed, Matt Benjamin said that we need to remove that 2 into interval. The 2 into interval was specifically only for debug interval when set. But otherwise, if that not, we should basically only check for 24 hours. That was another reason for bucket getting skipped in our world.
Okay. Yeah, I
I
vaguely remember that now.
Yeah, and coincidentally, I was just working on that PR right now, and I plan to post that PR shortly today. So maybe it combining that already run today and probably this fix might help in this case. I feel.
Okay. Just above the GitHub link that you pasted, there's
Mhm.
a tracker issue. Have you
Right.
looked at that one?
Yeah, I was
Do
just
you know if that's a potential cause?
yes, that's what I was looking in one of the I didn't get a chance to look at the entire thing. I'll try to look at it and see if it goes about. But uh, we had a similar issue where currently when we're trying to update the lock, it just cannot update the lock, and the LC entry is in processing state and it stays there for at least 3 days. That's what the behavior we've seen, and I thought probably it might be similar behavior in that bug. But I'll try to look at the tracker and try to post there if this is a similar issue, is what we've seen in our world.
Okay. I mean, in cases where it tries to get a lock and fails, that implies that some other RGW is processing it.
So the way currently it works is for every shard we try to acquire a lock, and then once we get first bucket in that shard, we again release the lock so that we are only processing that bucket and the lock is released. But then that shard can be picked up for another bucket by another worker, right? Now, once the first bucket finishes processing, it needs to get back that same shard lock to go and update the entry for that bucket, saying that I've finished processing this bucket so that nobody picks it up. But because somebody else is already processing some other bucket on that same shard, this bucket cannot be updated. The entry for this bucket cannot be updated, saying that I've finished processing, and it remains in LC processing. So now, when the next instant comes in, probably assuming after 24 hours, it will see the status of that bucket and it says, oh, it's in processing state. So it assumes somebody is already processing, but before assumption, it goes and checks when was this processing state updated, and if it tries to check and it in that check it calls is expired, which basically currently does not check for 24 hours, but it does 2 into interval, which is 48 hours, and that's the reason a lot of times the buckets do not run for 2 days. That was our scenario.
Okay, right. So it's a lock on the LC list, not on a per entry or per bucket.
Right. But unfortunately, that lock is shared for the bucket as well as for the shard. So we do not have two separate locks, basically. If we look at that process function, it's the same lock that is used to first saying that I'm processing this particular shard so that no other worker picks up that shard. And then again, that same lock is also used to update. So each shard can have multiple buckets. So for every bucket update, it again tries to acquire that same shard lock. And if that lock is already been used by some other process, it doesn't allow you to update. So the good part is the log that we currently use has a max TTL of 90 seconds. So the idea that we discussed last time was whenever we have to go and update if the bucket has been processed, do not give up within 1 second, at least try for 90 seconds so that assuming if somebody else has also picked up and has not given up, at least after 90 seconds, the lock would be given up and at least the bucket should be updated correctly, at least in this case, at least in the scenario when the bucket has at least processed finishing. So for that scenario, whenever trying, do not try for 1 second. So currently we only try to acquire that lock for 1 second of window. Instead of holding for 1 second window, we should hold it for 90 seconds because that's the max TTL any shard can hold on to that particular lock, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks.
Mhm.
So going back to chat, Dan's comment, maybe it should just check that it's the same day. So between midnight and midnight. I think it's complicated a bit by the debug interval stuff. But if there's an easy way, I guess the debug interval just rescales the times. So maybe that's right. So I guess it doesn't have to be between midnight and the next midnight, but just sometime after the beginning of the most recent interval, right? Yeah, okay. All right, well, I will look into this a little more and try to prepare a PR, and we can follow up on that. But I'm still unsure why I'm seeing these failures just with my PR and not elsewhere. The PR uses coroutines like within the bucket LC process, just the per bucket part. But this is up a level in the lifecycle queue and scheduling stuff. So I don't know if just the per bucket part is changing timings that is exposing issues, but the fact that this branch is kind of consistently causing failures is confusing me. Okay, so I'll follow up with a PR on this, and Kunal will expect a PR from you on the other bit. I think that'll hopefully get us a resolution to the tracker issue. Any other thoughts on this topic? Thank you guys, that was helpful. Last topic from me is just kind of an observation that we're adding a lot of new tests that don't work with DB Store. So I'm just trying to get a sense of what the future of DB Store looks like. I think most of the development is going towards the POSIX backend rather than DB Store. Assuming that we get a mostly fully featured POSIX backend, would we keep DB Store? Is there value in both, or would we want to deprecate?
Unless there's a really, really good reason to keep DB Store, I'm not sure if we should. I think it was just there more as a proof of concept than anything, if I recall.
Yeah, I feel like it successfully proved the concept, but has become stale, and so is gradually less useful as time goes on.
Daniel has answers in chat. My feeling is DB Store makes it be useful as a reference for new devs, but POSIX could replace it. So
Okay, sounds reasonable. All right, that's all I had. Anybody else have a topic for the agenda? All right, I suppose we can call it done. Thanks all. See you
Thank
next
you.
time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.